For our first project, I have this bunny box that I thrifted. I started by getting those creepy eyes popped off, and then I came in with a spindle and I attached it to the middle of the box to create a handle. Next, I'm sanding down all of the paint that was on there, and I think you'll notice here that there are these two wooden hearts that were used to create the cheeks on this bunny that were like glued on. I could not get those off, so you'll see a little bit later how I mask them in the project that I ended up creating from this. I'm starting off by painting this with a coat of, I believe it's Victorian Lace by Fusion. And I'm doing this more to get something with a seal in it. I end up coming in with a chalk paint because I am going to do a paint inlay with this project. Now I'm coming in with Dixie Belle's chalk paint in the color Cotton, and I'm painting all over the bunny to make it cohesive. I did not paint the spindle handle. I applied one full coat, let that dry, and then when I applied the second coat, that's when I put my inlay on. I do not have a video of this, but I do have a video of the reveal once the paint inlay is pulled up. Here we are going to be taking the mister. This is done after the paint inlay has already dried. We go in and we dampen it up again with a wet rag, and then I also use that mister and I'm slowly pulling up this paper to reveal the paint that has now been inlaid into that white paint. I'm doing this in slow motion so you can kind of see, and I was super impressed. I've never done this before. This is my very first time doing it, and I loved how it looked. I did both sides of that bunny. I was able to mask those two heart cheeks, and here is a look at how it is styled. To start our project today, we are going to be mixing up some quick resin. This one cures in about 10 minutes, and we're going to be using a lot of these tiny molds. I have some carrot molds, the bows, and some small little birds. And then I just found some way to use the other resin that I had mixed up. So once we have that finished, we're going to move on to the next step. While we're waiting for that to dry, we're going to be painting up these little signs. I'm only going to be painting the circles. They're all going to be in different colors by Paint Couture, and this is the all-in-one mineral paint. We have two in the light pink color. I'll put the name of it in the description. And then I did do two in this autumn sage, which ended up being too dark, so those actually are not finished yet for this tutorial. Then we have two in buttercream and two in Pacific Pearl. Once that's all set, I'm going to be taking some of my IOD stamps and another little stamp that I have with a bunny, and it's actually the back of the bunny, and we're going to be stamping Be Happy on 4 of our 6 garden signs. Now what I'm doing is I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to be putting at the top to cover up the little hole that is there in those circles. I ended up using the bows for the pink ones, and then the white ones, the Pacific Pearl ones, have some carrots on the top. And then for the buttercream circles that I have there, the wood rounds, they have Bloom instead of Be Happy stamped, and a watering can as well as a flower. So you'll see I finished that one up with a little twine bow at the top. I paint up the little bows with some antique gold by Paint Couture, but it ended up not being as dark as I wanted it to be, so I added some rub and buff. Here are the little twine bows for these two flowers, which I put on, and then after putting it on, I realized I still needed to seal this with the antiquing glaze, so you'll see me pop them right back off. And now we're going to get to the next step where we will be gluing the 2 carrots on the white garden signs using some Titebond Quick and Thick. Now that that's complete, we're going to be going ahead, we're going to seal up all of the garden signs using Antiquing Glaze by Fusion. And I'm going to paint up the front and the backs of all of them and then wipe back the excess to kind of just bring it back a little bit, especially on the wood round part. I wanted that to go back as much as possible. It's just allowing it to seal up. I will say with these blue ones, as I wiped it back, it ended up dulling the stamping a little bit. So in the end, which I don't think I have recorded, I decided to use an acrylic paint marker in black and just went over the letters. We're putting on the finishing touches using some Quick and Thick to get those bows on top of the pink garden signs. And then we will be doing the same antiquing glaze on top of those. Here's a look at our finished project. I will be selling these at an upcoming event that I have. For this next project, I have these 24 bunnies. They are in 4 different styles, and they are made with MDF. I got them off Amazon, and I'm going to be painting them up in 4 different colors that are perfect for spring. I'm using Old 57 by DIY, Cowgirl Coral by DIY, Mint Chip by DIY, and then a peach color by Dixie Belle. I will leave the name of it in the description. I'm going to paint all of them up. I'm not going to show you me painting every single one, but I just wanted you to know that each one is a solid color. And then you'll see how I have them styled or prepared to style for an upcoming event that I have. I got this wooden bowl from Jamie Ray Vintage, and I used some wood glue and glued on these snowmen upside down to create some legs. And now I'm coming in with some white paint to paint them all white. And this is what I'm going to use to display my little bunnies. Here is a look at how they are styled. I did have 2 bowls, and the other bowl does have shorter legs on it. I do not have that on camera, but really this is just to use as a display. It's not something that I plan to sell because I love those bowls. For our next project, I have these plastic eggs that I got off of Amazon, and I'm using a transfer that I got a long time ago, probably when I first started crafting or around the time I first started crafting. It is another thing I got off of Amazon. I do believe it's a redesign by Prima transfer. And I'm cutting it up into different pieces and transferring it onto these eggs to create that white with blue kind of style. I don't really know the name of the style, but I really like how they turned out. I'm just transferring them all on. I even used, there's some letters, like some text on the transfer that I was able to cut up and make look a little less like letters to cover each of these eggs. Once I finish that, I use some Big Top by DIY to seal them up, and then I'll give you a quick peek at how they are styled. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed these projects. Have a very happy Sunday.